So biggest problem with Turbo 8 morphing is really it's at this point it's still kind of vague in terms of what are the use cases we're to implement Turbo 8 morphing. And the thing is, from this article by File, it was of Turbo 8, they are explaining what Turbo 8 morphing is designed for is for content pages. And I'm not going to repeat what they are saying in the article, I will just link it in the video. But the thing is, it takes a while to kind of understand what they mean by this or what, or the authors of Turbo 8, when they are saying to content pages, how that would translate to use cases in a application where we have like a dynamic bits. So, so let me show you what I have like with Turbo 8 morphing here. So we have a page we can just type in text, type in title, and we can select the search tags. Now, this part is the form that will be submitted if I click Save button. Now, if I click on a tag, we'll add the tag. Obviously, if I remove the tag, I will remove the tag. Now, if I search for something, yeah, that's also happening, but I can also submit and create a new tag. Now, let's see the parts, which parts are Turbo 8 morphing and which are not. So let's go to the console logs. First of all, the controller for entries, the page you are seeing here, it's really simple. I'm just saying, okay, I want to just load new post or post that already exists, and I know this is edit, so it's supposed to be always a record, but I have a use case why I need to do this. So far, nothing special. Let's put it that way. And here in the edit, we have the form, and we have the partials that are loading the tags and taggings here. Now let's see what's happening if I add a tag. Add a tag, and we can see I post something to taggings controller, and I've been redirected back to the entries edit page. So the same page I'm now at. If I remove the tag, similar thing. I'm deleting the tagging, and I'm being redirected back to the entries edit page. So redirected here, and this thing is not being saved. So just to prove my point, if I click save, I will get an error. So things are not being saved, and actually, if I click save, I actually lost my content. So so how is it possible we are redirecting the pages and content is being still held still? And that's basically the Turbo 8 morphing. So whenever I click the tag, I will send a create on tagging. So let's have a look at the taggings controller. I'm just basically taking the, you can see, done a post to entry 1 and tag 5. We are creating the tagging, so we are calling the tagging controller. Now creating entry, finding an entry, finding a tag, sorry, and I'm assigning it to. If I remove the tag, again, we are calling delete on the tagging, which is basically again this controller. I'm just finding the tagging and destroying it and redirecting back to the entry edit page. So that's being done by turbo morphing. And reason why this text is not being refreshed is because inside the form we have the data turbo permanent tag. Let me show you. Here we go. Data turbo permanent. That's the magic tag that is like telling turbo, okay, if you get a refresh of a new page, don't don't change this content. Obviously, the scroll will also be preserved, but I don't have enough content to see this, so maybe this will help. Yeah, so if we do this, there you go. Content is being preserved, the scroll is being preserved as well. So here's a example of turbo morphing. Another thing will be like I have a suggested tag. So if I start typing, you know, Ruby, what I'm doing whenever I press a key, what is happening? I'm posting to the entries slash suggested tags. Now, this part is actually dealing with TurboStream, and I will explain why in a second. But it's like a similar principle. What I'm doing is I'm just whenever I press key, I'm submitting the content to the entries, suggested tags, and streaming back the content in a partial. I'm taking TurboStream replace the suggested tags, which is this bit, and I'm telling it, okay, the partial with the suggested tags and with the suggested tag is the same partial as we have if we go here to basically this part. So I'm just basically replacing this with a TurboStream. And also that part is turbo streaming, turbo stream replace. Now what will happen if I want to add a new tag? So type new and press enter. Again, you see everything is oops, something, sorry. Anyway, the tag was added, the new tag. So let's see what happened. I think we done a couple of things, did I? Okay, let's add a new one. I pressed enter. So we done post the entry suggested tag. No, sorry, it's actually this one. The entries tags. So I just created a new tag. So I have another controller here that will create a tag. And what this controller is doing is basically taking the title that was submitted, and whether if it's non-existing tag, it will create a new tag. And let's see. Yeah, I will find the title. And if this user already have the tag, okay, I will just return. So for example, if I type Ruby enter, I will just add the tag. But if the tag doesn't exist, I will create it. I'm adding the list to the entry tags and I'm redirecting back to edit entries path. So that's also turbo morphing. So Rails, boom, turbo morphing. And you can see this will be done a post. No, sorry, that's actually this one. I don't know. I'll demonstrate again because I'm typing a lot. That's why we are triggering the other one. Let's go with the Ruby tag. Ruby. So we downloaded all search tags. Now I will press enter. We done a post the tags, which created the new tag, or sorry, not created, but it searched whether it should be created or not. So we call the tags controller with the title of Ruby. And because we already have the tag was not created, it was just assigned to the entry. Now, reason, and we were redirected back to entries edit. Reason why these two posts happen is probably I have a bug still with typing suggesting tags. So anyway, the important part is the morphing part. So think about it this way, like all of this is really just really simple controllers. Controller for finding, creating tag, and that will just redirect back to the edit entry path. Whenever I press delete, I will call the tagging controller. Really simple control that will just delete the tagging, and tagging is a relationship between a tag and the entry, which is pretty much formed in the tags controller. So it's basically a relationship between entry and tag. So it's like a join table. Has many true relationship. And so yeah, anyway, tagging destroy will just remove the tagging relationship between the tag and the entry. Create also the same. It will just pretty much create a relationship between entry and the tag and redirect it back to the entry edit path. And really the only somewhat magic is happening when we are typing, with the suggestion of tags, that's really just something that is already in a Rails world for a year or something, or 2 years, which is the turbo stream, and really simple turbo stream replace and partial that we are replacing the content and the ID inside the contents. So this ID suggested tags is being replaced with this partial. And by ID, I mean HTML ID, like literally. Suggested tags. So basically, we are replacing this div. So zero JavaScript involved. Really simple Rails controllers. Really simple directory structure to kind of maintain the controllers and the views. And even the form is really simple. I'm not going to show the form because there is more logic that is necessary. So that's why it's destructured in the form. But really, it's just like a title and the rich content text area. But the important part is the turbo permanent that is taking care of the so that the content will stay whenever we are calling the loading of the entries pages with turbo drive. Now ignore this. This is left over from some experimentation. Anyway, so this is the important part. And one last thing I just want to say, again, back to the article, content pages. And first of all, I wanted to, the main reason why I start playing around with morphing is actually I wanted to do the search with Turbo 8 morphing. And actually, that's actually from what I so far experimented with, it's not the most not recommended thing to do, because the thing is like in the previous video I was explaining like whenever you are having like let me actually load the search. If you go to hhh.how and you just load the search, have this form and you are able to type like turbo, for example. And the thing is like if this was, again, this is the same logic like I'm doing with the other search here, the suggested tags. Well, all this is like a different project and different logic, but it's the same. It's the same principle. I'm just turbo streaming replaced on some kind of partial. Now, if I was about to do this with Turbo 8 morphing, what I would have to do is like doing like a search and maybe query equals Ruby, and that's a different content than maybe Ruby Rails, even though it's the same URL, because the query param is changing. It was not possible. And again, with Turbo, we want to do like a you want to be redirected to like a content page. So let's say in our case, we were redirected to entries 1, edit. In this case, if I were doing search, even if it was a create, I would say like, okay, so it was up. If it was a post action, I would post data to the search. I want to be redirected to a content page, and that content page would have to look like with a query parameter, like the query, whatever is the string. And from what I have played around, it's like this is where Turbo 8 morphing doesn't work because Rails and Turbo will understand this. Okay, this is a different page than this, or even this. Anyway, this is so that's pretty much it. It's really still like a powerful tool, but I was really took me a while to really understand what do they mean by content pages. I'm recommending this article, but again, like only by experimenting, I really actually understood what content pages really mean.